Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We're glad that you're with us because you know what? We got another great show lined up as always. Super excited about it. And tons of music industry news, of course, beats by yours truly. But we have a special guest, JuiceOne, and this will be the first time that we have a graph artist on the show, which kind of completes the cycle. So we've had DJs, we've had MCs, we've had break dancers on the show, and now we finally have a graph artist. So we've got all the elements of hip hop covered. I'm so excited about this. What do you think, Bree?
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's a whole new, I would say dimension. I started to say a whole new floor, but really it's a whole new dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we're just excited to give this show to you. And thank you for tuning in as always. And maybe we should just go ahead and get started. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Okay, and we're back with music industry news. First off, and this is really good news, Spotify and all the other music streamers that were battling the royalty increase have reached an agreement with music publishers. And so now 15.35% is going to be the new rate for 2023 through 2027. Ooh, that's a lot of 20s there. And so it's for the on-demand streaming royalty rate in the US. And this is after the Copyright Royalty Board actually approves it. But hey, it's more than the 15.1% that it is right now, but it is a little less than the 20% that publishers were initially going after. So if you recall, we've told you before that Spotify, Amazon, and Pandora were all trying to suggest that the rate should be knocked back down to 10.5%. But yeah, they came to an agreement, and so the new rate will be phased in over a 5-year term as part of the proposal. So yeah, pending approval, hey, it's a win.
Hey, well, I mean, who's going to turn down a pay raise?
Right.
Right.
But I still say the artists, kind of pay attention to who is actually against it. I noticed that Apple was kind of straddling the fence a little bit with it. So they weren't against the increase, but they also didn't say to the other streamers like, hey, we shouldn't fight this. They just say, hey, we'll honor however this turns out. So yeah, definitely a win for creatives out there. And just in case anyone listening isn't really familiar, there's a difference between the on-demand streaming and your like Pandora's that just kind of play it for you. So anytime you actually get to select which song you listen to and when, that's a totally different rate than when, the algorithms just kind of pick and stuff. So yeah, they're talking about the on-demand rates for right now. So that includes like Pandora One and of course Spotify and some of the others. So yeah, just a heads up. Looking forward to that new rate going into effect because hey, that means more money in your pocket.
It's a cha-ching. A cha-ching.
There you go. All right, and BMG's revenues increased 25% to over $372 million just in the first half of the year. So they say that the 25% was organic growth, and it's the highest in their 14-year history. So 60% of that came from publishing, and 40% came from recordings. BMG has announced, multiple catalog acquisitions. Many of them we shared with you, like some major people. And they're also, planning on acquiring a big record label. They said that a part of their growth strategy is they're doubling down on its activities in the film sector by presenting, more major documentaries. And one of them includes the first Bowie film that's actually approved by his estate. So the acquisitions are paying off and their business development plans have huge potential for another big payoff. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, well, just think, the average person on the street, the little guy, the little lady, she can elevate herself and he can elevate himself at some point so they can make acquisitions too.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's always good to see what the majors are doing and where they're putting their money, because it's showing you where they see that the industry is heading. So, with them actually putting together the documentary, so of course they can use the music that they actually have the rights to, which means a bigger payoff for them. So yeah, pay attention. And just like Breezy said, there's ways for you to be able to mimic that in your own way with your own career.
That's right. You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it to it. You can do it.
All right, and the vocal competition, DFW Icon is returning to Dallas-Fort Worth with more categories and double the cash awards. So if you or somebody in that area, make sure that you spread the word. The submissions are open now until October 10th, and entry categories for vocalists are 5 to 12, 13 to 17, 18 and up, and they're taking original songwriters of any age. So first place will get $500, second place $300, third place $200 in cash, and a grand winner will be awarded $1,000. So all winners will get trophies and miscellaneous industry and sponsored opportunities and whatnot. So, just something to be aware of. You can register by uploading a YouTube hosted video to dfwicon.com with a registration fee of $25.
Hey, that's another just do it right there.
Yep. All right, this story. Oh, yeah. I've gotten a lot of feedback since sharing it on social media. But Sean Diddy Combs invests $2 million in Rec, which is a resource hub for creators. So it's a Philadelphia-based startup, and they're coming to Miami's Little River neighborhood in 2023 after this partnership. So the expansion is going to bring a 12,000 square foot creative facility that's going to be equipped with multiple recording studios, photo and video production studios, editing bays, podcast studios, dance studios, design studios, an event venue, co-working space, and the in-house production equipment needed to make all the high quality media that's kind of necessary to get ahead these days. So, that's a really, really big deal. Rec members also use the space to create the content, but to connect with other collaborators. And they're also going to offer educational and social programming. So they've got a lot of stuff going on. It's a great place for people to find emerging talent. And so some of the feedback I got about that is that there are some people that think that maybe that's why Diddy invested into it, so he can kind of have direct access to some of the members that may be using Rec. So whether or not that's the case, it's still a great opportunity for anybody in the Philly and Miami areas to take advantage of this. And I'd be willing to bet this is just the beginning of the expansion, and later on we'll probably have stories about how they're expanding into other cities. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, if you're in any of those areas, definitely check it out. And, if you're one of those artists that's a part of that, maybe you come across Diddy or somebody like that, don't just be starstruck and just agree to anything, because which a lot of the feedback I was getting was talking about Diddy's history of being well documented of kind of taking advantage of artists, which, that can happen anywhere. So just keep your wits about you when you take advantage of stuff like this. And don't be starstruck. Make sure you have somebody check out any contracts or offers that are presented to you.
Yeah, well, I'd say that also, in addition, that it sounds like it's something that was first of all, the music industry is a for-profit industry. They're going to do it. But it sounds like he did get a team to get together and put some foresight into all of the different layers of that opportunity. Too many times we hear somebody that's talented and they're looking to get involved with something, but that opportunity is too specific. And no matter how talented they are, that door won't open, because here's what we're looking for is XYZ, and if you can do XYZ, come on in, but if there's anything outside of that, it's a no-go. And so, but the layers that you read off seem to be pretty diversified with the choices. And so, of course, always look at when it comes to contracts or documents, always look at that closely, but still with the number of opportunities under that umbrella, that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to give them a thumbs up for at least providing those different platforms. I believe you said 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 platforms under that umbrella. So, check it out, folks, and just walk carefully, but still check it out and see how you can fit into any of those layers.
Absolutely, because most talented people have more than one talent. So yeah, it's a great opportunity. And keep in mind, they were doing this before Diddy came along to invest. So they're expanding, with this investment, but they've been doing this in Philly, and they've been getting some success. So yeah, definitely keep in mind, regardless about how you feel about Diddy participating in it or not, definitely some excellent opportunities there. All right, Lineup Supply has an app that turns music festival posters into Spotify playlists. Yeah, how wild is this, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
So basically, you can take a photo, upload it. So let's say you're browsing Instagram and you see, oh, the first thing that comes to mind is the Wu Tang and Nas tour. You see that, you take a picture of it, upload it. They'll generate a playlist on Spotify specifically targeted for whoever's on that festival lineup in a matter of moments. So another alternative that they offer is that you can use the app to find playlists created by other people with a one-time purchase of $1.99. You know, a lot of the apps do subscriptions these days, so even that's unique in itself. But you can tap into music recommendations based on the artists and the images that you've uploaded. So, I mean, that's just bananas to me that that's a thing that can even be done. But yeah, definitely something to check into, and that's Lineup Supply.
I mean, the inventions that are being displayed these days. Oh my gosh, there's all kind of stuff going on, all kind of opportunities, don't there?
Yeah,
some incredible creations and incredible discoveries. Whoa.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, so depending on how this thing takes off, you know, the more lineups and stuff that you can get into, then you could be included on that when somebody scans that picture, and it might help them find your music a little bit better. So yeah, there's tons of opportunities there, and we hope you get to take advantage of it.
Yes, and triple yes.
All right, we're gonna take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with more music industry news right after this. we're back with more music industry news. This one was just kind of a heads up. A lot of artists are kind of starting to get into planning their own shows / festivals and things like that. But Lollapalooza's producers have to pay about $410,000 this year to clean up Grant Park after this year's music festival. So the 4-day bill came to $409,695, which is $120,000 more than the year before. So this includes like the cost of new seed, sod, shrubbery, irrigation, and reinstalling like mesh fencing and everything. So of course the cost can fluctuate, mainly depending on the weather. So, it's been some expensive repair years in the past. In 2019, the total came to $645,000. And then one of the costliest years for cleanup was in 2011, when rain had saturated the festival grounds, and it ended up costing more than $1 million for restoration. So make sure that if you get into this, that you're planning venues that might be a little bit easier for you to have to deal with for cleanup. And of course, you can't really control the weather, but just definitely something to be aware of.
Wow. Good. That's good looking out. I'm glad that that's part of the news stories that you read right there, because ultimately it's going to be somebody that you helped just by bringing them forth.
I sure hope so. Just imagine you're throwing a successful festival and then you realize like, oh wait, I didn't think the cleanup would be this much. But yeah, if you're aware of it, you can kind of know going into it, and it'll hopefully keep from eating too much out of your pockets.
Yes. Words of wisdom.
All right. And Glasgow is considered the vinyl collecting capital of the UK, according to a new study of collecting habits by the Royal Mint. So they were checking out collecting habits, not just vinyl, but just how people gather things. And apparently 32% of the UK's vinyl collectors live in the city. So their favorite shops are Rub-a-Dub, Love Music, and Monorail Music. And according to the British phonographic industry, sales of vinyl records hit their highest level in 3 decades last year in 2021. So what does that mean? If you're in the UK or not in the UK, that means Glasgow, they got you covered. If you want to issue some new vinyl stuff, or you're looking at getting into that might be an area that you definitely want to check out. That's pretty big to have that large of a percentage in one location. So yeah, just a heads up for anybody thinking about releasing vinyl. You might want to make some friends there.
A big heads up. I mean, a huge heads up.
Mm-hmm.
Huge.
All right, and a new book, Soul Music of Ohio, takes a look back at the Ohio bounce. So in the 50s and 60s, Ohio was a hotbed for R&B performers, clubs, and record companies. And of course, legends like the OJs or Bootsy Collins, but this examines those with a little less notoriety, like Clementine Jones or the Valentine brothers, who recorded briefly and then disappeared. So this book is compiling all this info about their long forgotten and valuable discs. So definitely something to check out, learning the history. And just kind of seeing how things worked out for people is always beneficial to artists, no matter where you are in your career. Learning from others is just, it's a big deal, and it can help you in many ways.
It's like an artist, it's like a knowledge exchange, where they can share knowledge, share experiences, share thoughts, and share type of supportive type of info. There are other there's other groups of folks that support each other. So artists are no different. So yeah, it's got a positive tone to it to me.
Yeah. Okay, this one. Oh man. So Pershing Square says that Universal Music Group can grow revenues at an annual rate of 10% or so for more than a decade. That's a mighty, mighty large claim, but it shows a lot of promise as well. So, Bill Aikman owned Pershing Square, acquired about 10% of Universal Music Group for around $4 billion last year. We talked about that quite a bit. And the company believes that this growth is achievable with quote unquote increasing streaming penetration combined with the development of new services, platforms, and business models. So, according to the numbers that Goldman Sachs had issued earlier, if Universal can achieve that 10% year over year increase for the next decade, it's going to really outpace the rest of the music rights market. So the fact that they see that and they made that huge investment, but they're still bullish on it being able to increase at that rate, that means that they know something. So with them talking about that, the penetration of the streaming services, development of new services, platforms, and business models, that means that those are things that you, the independent artist, need to be focusing on. So they see that there's value there and continued value. Yeah. So not just a one-time thing, 10% every year for a whole decade. That means there's a lot of opportunity there.
A lot of opportunity. I mean, that's mega on top of mega opportunity.
So of course, they issue this in like a little press release, and you might just kind of glance at it and think that they're just talking. But with them actually spelling out what they see there, they're giving you the blueprint, and you just have to walk in it.
In this age, the 2022s, the 2025. Hey, first of all, 2025 will be here before you know it. So you can actually take an opportunity like this in 2022, and we're not with the get rich quick type of thing. Okay, but you plant your seed in something like this, an opportunity like this, and work it, water it, cultivate it, and so forth, and the 23 comes in, maybe half of 23, 24, and some big things can be happening for you, but again, don't just only seek out the get rich quick kind of schemes, because most of the time they lead to nowhere. But something like this, yeah.
Yeah, they say slow and steady wins the race.
That's right.
And what you said reminded me of an Eartha Kitt quote where she said, if you're looking for immediate rewards, you're only looking for the money. So there's a whole lot more to win. I mean, don't get me wrong, money is nice, very nice. But there's more that can be gained. So excellent point, Breeze. Right.
And then on in addition, as far as money goes, you could say easy come, easy go. See, there's a lot of folks that get large loads of money very quickly, and they go around the corner, and next thing you know, that money is gone.
Yeah. We've seen that happen time and time again.
All the time. So,
you just set up. Go ahead.
No, you ladies first.
Oh no, I was just saying you just set up the next story, but you can finish.
Well, easy come, easy go, and not just money, equipment, all kinds of different statures that you get, or you're in a certain status level, or whatever. Easy come, easy go. So you gotta look for that slow growth.
Yeah.
And that'll get you there.
Yeah, so much easier to maintain. Stuff. Yeah. Yep. So here we go. Like I say, you set it up perfectly. UK record labels spent a combined $600 million on A&R, marketing, and promotion in 2021. So BPI, which is the trade body that represents major indie labels in the UK, breaks the figure down. Guess what? Specifically, they spent $41 million on A&R every month in 2021. Now, this is important because if you look at what's been happening in the US for a while, a lot of labels kind of started to let A&R slide by the wayside. And that's why you see those people that Breezy just mentioned that might have had status at one point, might have had money at one point, they were on top, but their label didn't take the time to invest in A&R for them. So the A&R is what helps you grow as an artist. So, they do what they need to make sure that you can have the longevity in your career. But a lot of labels in the US aren't doing that. But the UK sees how important that is to be dropping $41 million a month. So yeah, it's really interesting that you said it that way, because we're seeing this all the time. And if you go on Twitter and watch any of these conversations about somebody like, oh, so and so fell off, that's because the labels weren't really caring about the artist. They just wanted to snatch up that fame, and then as soon as it was done, that's it. You don't really hear anything more from them other than them releasing their own stuff. Or that's when we start hearing, I need to be released from my label. They won't let me do X, Y, and Z. It's because if they don't feel that you have the buzz that you had before, they don't care. But with the investment of A&R and making sure that the artist grows and evolves in a way that helps them still connect with fans is so important. It's major. And especially as an indie artist, you don't have that label behind you doing that. So that's something that you need to be doing yourself. Maintaining relationships is a huge part of that. So you got supporters, you got people telling you that they appreciate what you do, they like your stuff, and you just kind of, smile and nod as you scroll by. A lot of times people aren't going to be that into it. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're developing relationships as an indie artist. It's way more important than it is for somebody that has a big machine behind them. So, you kind of got to be your own A&R, look to develop those relationships, develop yourself and your artistry.
You know what, Achickwitbeatz?
What?
That sounds like a Sean Cobain moment.
It is. It is. We got to have him on again to talk about this. For sure.
That sounds like a Sean Cobain moment.
Yes. Shout out to the homie. We appreciate you.
Hey, Sean, where are you, man?
Yes.
I had to holler on that one. But thanks for bringing that, for the small person, the novice, the neophyte, the young lady that's out there just getting into music, a young man that's just getting into music. They're on the street, trying to do their thing, trying to learn, trying to get a toehold, and so forth. I'm glad you went ahead and broke that down, to a lower level of understanding, because, hey, there are people out there, they don't know what A&R mean, and sometimes folks, they don't want to divulge that they may not know something, so then they'll act like they do in front of others.
Yeah.
But then they may really not know.
Yeah.
So you get them by themselves and you ask them that question and they say, well, I really don't know. What is it?
Right. And this is one of those, at least in the music business portion of it, faking it till you make it will not work. I mean, you got to know. So, yeah, it's very important. And, if there's something that you would like to know more about and you've been afraid to ask, you can tell us. We won't tell anybody. Just reach out to us and say, hey, can you cover this a little bit more? Like, I don't want people to know I don't know this, but and even if we don't have the answers, we'll try to get it for you within reason, depending on what you're requesting. But yeah, it's okay to not know as long as you make the effort to learn.
Yeah, because when you're in front of others and you fake like believe me, every fake that you make can end up being the wrong break.
Say that again.
Every fake that you make can end up being the wrong break. Not a good break, but a bad one. So terminology, hey, the explanation of these words or verses or acronyms or whatever, A&R. If you're not sure, just reach out to us right here at the show.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with our special guest, JuiceOne.
Whoa.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We are excited, thrilled, and delighted to announce that we have with us in the virtual building, JuiceOne. How you feeling today?
What up, though? What up, though? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, we're really glad to have you on. And if you could just give us a little bit of background, like who is JuiceOne, how you got involved in the culture and all that good stuff.
All right, so name is JuiceOne. I am a graffiti writer. So I started out um, in the early '90s writing my name, JuiceOne, and this started out in Germany actually, because that's where I was born. And back in '92, I was heavily influenced. I started getting heavily influenced by hip hop. Even prior to that, with Ice-T. That's what I was very influenced by the West Coast initially. That's how I found hip hop, was through Ice-T and the Power album. So talking '86. So I started discovering more of the East Coast hip hop scene, and I got a hold of this movie Juice, and I really fell in love with the movie. And I was also experimenting in the graffiti scene back in Germany at the time, so I kind of co-opted the name from the movie. So fast forward now, how many years? God knows, I'm 40, 44 going on 45, and mainly in retirement as far as being an active writer, because they handed out felonies up here. But yeah, I just kind of got jump started early on. And when I was 16, I moved to the States and got active in North Carolina, and then came out here to Detroit in the early 2000s and started hitting the scene here. So obviously Detroit has been a haven for graffiti writers early on. Not so much now. Things have gotten a lot more complicated in the city of Detroit as far as writing goes. But I mean, it was a playground for us. We were able to, get down heavily with all of the buildings we had, accessible to us. Like the amount of playgrounds that we had. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the places that I crawled around in 2, 3 in the morning in Detroit. And doing graffiti art, one of the key things or the main purpose for a lot of us is fame. And you accomplish that by spreading your name. And you do that in various methods, from your signature hand style, which we call tagging, which is just a quick signature basically of your name, to more complex drawings, which are bigger letters, which we call throw-ups, which are still fairly quickly done. And then you add your bigger pieces, which take more time. This is the time that we're talking about, several hours. This is not something you can do on the fly. So, the way you accomplish fame is by getting your stuff up throughout the city, and other writers see your name, and it becomes something that is, associated throughout the scene. Now, one of the things that I really started stressing when I hit the Detroit scene is wanting to connect the graffiti scene back into the hip hop scene, because to me, I saw a very big separation of the two, and you still see it, where you don't have the entanglement of the elements in the hip hop scene here in Detroit as you, for example, have it in New York, birthplace. So even California, you go out to LA and you see the graffiti scene so much more intertwined with the hip hop scene in Detroit. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't writers who ain't involved, because we had, what was his name? The 5E movement. So, we had that going, and there were writers prior to me coming in who were also doing shows out at, what's the name of that spot now? TV Lounge, for example. We used to do a lot of shows out there for 5E, where we would set up walls. I actually have a portable wall that I have that is like 28 feet wide and 8 feet tall. Wow. that I used to set up at shows and would do live paintings at shows while we have break dancers out there, and we would have, live MCs. So yeah, it feels really good. You know what I mean? This was one of the main things that I wanted to do when I started getting more active here in Detroit, is kind of reconnecting the elements a little more. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's what's up. Because yeah, I feel like that's one of the things. I mean, like you said, in both like New York, LA, it's very, very present. But yeah, I feel like in some of these other areas, you don't really see that connection as much anymore. So yeah, I get what you mean. But how like cool is all this information you just dropped, Breezy?
Man, I'm soaking it up like a dry sponge, man, right now, because it's just totally, to me, this is education, okay, to the fullest, because, you know, education just winded all the way down to the bare root of all of it. You know? I mean, I've already got questions like, you know, such as, do you keep a kit with you? Or, you know, I think of the cans these days or whatever. Does that require you wearing these real micro thin gloves at the time? We just go with your bare fingers, or we're just share with our listeners.
For sure. I'll tell you what, one of the greatest things, I mean, well, okay, let me say this. I feel I'm torn when it comes to social media and the internet interfering in hip hop culture. And I obviously we have a lot of great aspects of it. When it comes to the element of graffiti, one of the things that used to be a big part of the culture was after you paint, you know, if you go out at night, because a lot of this stuff has to be done at night. Okay, you can't, because like I said, they like literally you catch felonies for this shit. It's not something that, you know, that is easily dealt with in our metropolitan cities, because it is really frowned upon. You know what I mean? So, one of the big things that we used to really enjoy and was a big part of the culture is after you paint something the night before, then you go out and have to hunt to find it. You go back and find it. If you were painting trains, you know what I mean? Like in the old New York scene, these guys would literally line up at train stations and wait for the train to go by, because then they get a daytime color picture of the work that they did the night before. And for us, it was the same, because we have graffiti. There are rules to the game. So we don't paint on just anything. We don't paint on personal property. We don't paint on churches. You know, you don't paint on graveyards. You don't do stuff like that. You mainly hit, you know, industrial buildings, commercial buildings, bridges, underpasses, you know, walls, like abandoned buildings and stuff like that. But nobody's house or car, something like those are just basic rules that you should adhere by when you just. But so what would happen is you would have special spots for artists to go and express their art. Not everybody, and it's just for artists, you know what I'm saying? So it's not something that is spread around so much. So you would go to these places and you take these pictures, and then you would get them developed, and you have a photo album of your work. Now, with technology being what it is, now the pictures are all easily accessible online. You know what I mean? You can just go online without ever having to wander out and explore these areas to see where the origin of these pieces are. So that kind of robbed part of the culture for me. People don't have scrapbooks anymore, because I used to have like big scrapbooks of pictures from the writer's station and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That we used to collect and keep, which is now part of the culture that has kind of died. Now, as far as the good side, obviously, is though too, you know, we struggled with supplies. Like the way we used to get paint, like there was just Krylon and Rust-Oleum. There was no low pressure paint that they have now, where you're able to control the flow of paint so much easier and you know, and like do all these dope fine lines and cool effects. We just weren't able to do that back then because we didn't have the tools. So that's the upside of it, and it's so much more accessible. You can literally go online. Like, dude, I used to steal my mother's cleaning supplies and take the caps off of it and modify and try to use those to try to get different effects through the cans, you know what I mean? Which now you can literally just go online, hit up bombing signs, and you can order a variety pack of 100 caps, and you can get everything from the New York fat cap down to a skinny to you know, Astro caps, everything. I mean, it's ridiculous what kind of access you have now to this new technology, you know what I mean? Because graffiti had really taken off in the late 90s and early 2000s. It became more commercialized, you know what I mean? It was starting to get used again more in this, you know, in the visual aspect of it. So people started tapping in immediately when the internet came on, you know, and you had a bunch of websites going up, and yeah, the spray paint changes. You know, you get a low pressure paint, which allows you to do so much more detailed work, because you can combine a low pressure can with a skinny cap, and now you can make lines that are a quarter of an inch You know what I mean? Which you
Wow.
would never be able to do unless you have a turbo wrist, wrist that allows you to flick that sucker so fast, but you won't be able to be consistent or detailed with it, you know.
Okay.
So that's great. I love that. I love the fact that we are able to access all these things now. You know, that was always a struggle for us back in the days. And plus, we used to steal all our paper anyway. We couldn't afford that mess. We're teenagers. We're broke, you know.
Right.
So
Wow.
so that's great. It's a great aspect of it.
Man. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
just incredible wealth of knowledge that you've just shared with us and the listeners. But okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this question that I have, but what's the
Right.
scariest thing that you've done? You don't necessarily have to give the location because I don't want you to get in trouble or nothing, but as far as like tight spaces and what's probably the scariest thing you've done where you thought about it later, like I can't believe I did that.
All right. Okay. So, and this was actually not that long ago. So, that's just since I've been up here. So
Mm,
there are certain places in the city that we like to hit up, and do practice pieces on, or anything that we want to do. Just kind of, like there will be times we'll go out on a Sunday in the middle of the day to certain spots that we know that's safe. That you can literally just go there in the middle of the day and paint and not be bothered.
mm,
And then you have other spots which are more high visible and that are known to be hit by graffiti writers and usually are watched. So we decided to one night hit one of these more illustrious places that we know was being watched. And we decided to try to sneak in because it had this tower. And this tower would go up about 150 feet. Now I'm going to say this is up on Plymouth Road. I'm not going to say anything else besides that. And at the top of this tower was a water tower inside of it.
mm.
So now, if you go inside the building and you make your way all the way up towards the tower, there is a like a catwalk that goes around the outside of the water tower up to the top of the tower.
Mm.
Now, this stuff is about 100 years old.
Ooh.
And it's been exposed to the weather. So
Ugh.
it's not the most sturdiest stuff. So, we're in there, it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm hitting the outside of this tower on the very top. I've made up my mind, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to put my name up there. I had a bet going with a fellow guy about who's going to hit it first. And I decided I'm going to go out there and make this happen now. This is because, and I'm already 40 at this time. So, I'm thinking I'm still 18 at that point. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but I was convinced that this was not going to be a problem for me, right? Now, my buddy that's with me, he's the same age as me, and we're both just thinking, this is not a problem. We got this. So we get up all the way on the tower, get all the way up there, and I even was smart enough. I brought some rope with me trying to be safe, right? And I get up all the way to the top of it, and I'm telling myself, all right, so we're 150 feet up. I'm still inside the tower, and it's got the small little window that they use as a vent that you can get out of to get onto the 8-inch ledge that's on the outside of that. And I would have to go around the corner of it on the outside of that ledge. So I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I crawled all the way out that window, because luckily by the time I got up to that window and I got halfway out that window and I looked down, I was like, well, you're 40 years old. What are you doing? You're stupid. And I told myself, I'm like, okay, let's think about this for a second. You don't want to be remembered as a splat at the bottom of this tower just because, I feel like putting my name up there. So, and my buddy was, by the time we got up there, he was pretty, let's just say he was rocking with the fear as well. He wasn't feeling it anymore. So, we're at the top of the tower trying to make up excuses as to why we chickening out right here at this point, and I'm like, well, I don't have nothing to prove to nobody, blah, blah, blah. So we go back out, take the walker stream back out. The next day I ride by, I don't know when he did it, but that bastard, the other guy that I was chatting with, he must have came in after me and put his damn name on the outside of that tower. He made it. He lived to talk about it too. But I was like, all right, buddy, you got it. You earned that one. Because I went up there and I was like, nah. That was wet too. It just got done raining, so that kind of helped me to decide I'm not doing this.
Right.
Plus, I'm 200 pounds, man. My buddy the other guy was like half my size, man. So it was easier for him to hold on to the building than it was for me. But that was really sketchy. Yeah.
Wow. And that sounds like a recurring nightmare that I've had when I've been up that high and couldn't get back down, or like, Yikes. I mean, kudos to you for even getting up there to try it. So
Oh yeah, heights has never been an issue for me. I climb all over places. That's never been an issue, but I don't know. It's kind of like I felt like by the time I got up there, I felt really tired. I was just like, man, 40 isn't 20. I'm like, maybe, you kind of rethinking certain things. And I'm like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this. But, you can't really chicken out until you get the other guy to chicken out with you. So, I'm happy with my decision. Let's just say that. With not winning that battle. But yeah, that was really sketchy. I mean, outside of that, I have been in a lot of problematic areas, you know what I mean? Because a lot of buildings tend to get run down in areas that are, the whole neighborhood or the whole areas are affected for the most part, because our city is so big and so many people have left our city. So you have whole, blocks that are abandoned. But I'm gonna tell you, as much trash as people want to talk about our city, like I had people tell me, "Oh, you're gonna get robbed," and I'm like, no. I mean, I've walked in some really, if you know about the Brewster projects when those were still up and running, and we've been through quite a few places that were, that should have been problematic if you listen to people from the suburbs, but nothing has ever happened. Hell, I've had tours of going, with some retired writer friends of mine, of just doing urban exploring in the city. There's so much gold, when it comes to that. Some of the favorite places that I've been to is like the Bablo Dock is awesome. You know what I mean? You have the Packard plant, which these are all places that are now getting developed. So this is where the part comes in that the writing scene is kind of getting a little more limited, Same with the Packard plant, which is a big spot that is now shut down for the most part, but I guess the guy that used to want to develop it decided not to do it. So I don't know. They're talking about getting that one back open, but we'll see.
Wow.
But it's not the Wild West anymore, man. They got, we got still some decent spots out here, but it ain't as loosey goosey as it used to be, for sure.
Gotcha.
They put the crank down on us in some places.
Man, you got some great stories, some good information here. And looking at the clock, I know it's kind of winded down a little bit. And I know Breezy's burning with another question, but before I let him ask his next question, if you could just let everybody know where they could check you out, follow you on social media, because I mean, yes, you're a writer, but you're heavily involved in another element of hip hop, which they often say is the forgotten one, which is knowledge. And so I noticed I follow you on social media. You've always got some good information to share and all that, and I'm pretty sure our listeners would love to be able to keep up with you there as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm really limited with social media these days. Currently, the main platform that I'm going to use is probably going to be Instagram, and that will be just at JuiceOne92 on Instagram.
All right, so you heard it here. Make sure that you check him out. And Breezy.
Yeah. Now, have you ever been maybe watching a movie or and you see some work that's in the background, or have you been riding down the street or whatever, and then you pop up and you see something? Oh my gosh, I did that myself. What? You have, what's that for? Sure.
Actually, I am associated with a local music label, which is called Middle Finger Music. So I actually have some of my artwork in some of their music videos. Wow. I have a mural that I did for the Motor City. What was the name of it? MoCAD. Yeah, MoCAD. Which is not Mo. Is it MoCAD? Motor City Street Dance Academy. I'm sorry. Yeah, Street Dance Academy. I did a mural for them, which is in Southwest Detroit. And I actually have come across some people will take pictures of urban exploring, and there'll be several books that I've seen where I've come across my artwork inside of those books. So it's when you see that, it's kind of neat. Or when people post your stuff, when other explorers come across your stuff and they post it on social media, it's neat. It's neat to see other people appreciate your art, for sure. And me personally, if I come across something that's been running for a while, it's awesome to see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So I feel like, we just kind of scratched the surface a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I know Breezy's over there thinking the same thing I am, that we'd love to have you back on the show again at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I appreciate it. I love to be able to talk more about this kind of stuff.
Great.
Sure.
Yeah, so we thank you for taking the time to come on and talk to us. And before we head out, are there any final thoughts you want to leave with the listener?
This might be a little off point, but enjoy life. Enjoy it in the moment, and don't waste time on bullshit. Sorry.
Wise words.
I'm serious. Don't waste time fretting stupid stuff or stupid people, man. Just enjoy your life and do it in the moment. Work has to stop somewhere. You have to just play as hard as you work.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, we can't wait to have you back again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, for sure. Let me know. I'm geeked about this kind of stuff, so I can appreciate anybody that takes interest in the element of hip hop that I really love. So I can appreciate that.
All right, and that does it for this week's edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We were glad that you came and rocked out with us once again. I mean, it's always a good time, right?
That's right. It's always a good time, and I mean, we for real. There was a long time ago. There was this either this song or label or something, whatever it's called, Soul for Real. You see, we are so real.
Yeah.
So we're real with it. We are real with it.
Yes. And so, a huge thank you to you, the listener. Huge thank you to our home stations, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio out of Denver, Colorado. And you know where to find us. Till next time, tune in, tell a friend, and we'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.